Hi, good morning to the May 17th edition of Earth Nouveau Hub. Welcome everyone today. And today we're going to be talking about faith and trust and expectations. So, some of the questions that are coming up for me is what happens when someone violates your trust? Someone you rely on, is not who they present themselves to be. And how do you get back to that place of faith in the world, the universe, the galaxy, yourself? And then also, another question that was coming up for me are what are your expectations of your spiritual teachers, right? Around honesty and integrity. Like, how can you have faith and trust, right? That someone is who they say they are. So, those are just some topics I wanted to throw out there today, and as we sort of, recalibrate into this new operating system, it seems like a very relevant and valid question, right? I mean, it's, to me, my own direct connection is always what trumps everything else, right? And listening to my intuition, listening to my own faith and trust within myself. And another thing coming up for me is I injured myself recently. And so as my body is gaining strength and rebuilding, how can I trust in my physical body again, right? That it had those issues. So those are just some of the things that were coming up for me today around this topic.
So I was thinking recently kind of about the same thing about what expectations we have of our spiritual teachers. And I haven't followed many people, but one observation that I've made over the years is that it seems like when somebody really starts speaking some significant truth, that something happens and they change, whether they get influenced or maybe I outgrow them. I don't know or I grow in a different direction from them, but like something changes to where what they say may not resonate as strongly with me, or I see them as in a different frequency than myself. And honestly, separation of densities is really, really prevalent right now, at least in my world, in a different way than I expected. But I revisited that question lately because there's things that show different sides of things that we look at and we see how we feel about it. And kind of what it brought me to was a few things. One is that while you would have expectations of a spiritual teacher to have the same general morals that we do, they don't have to. That's just a judgment and a projection onto them. I look at spiritual teachers for information and for guidance to help me fill in parts that I'm trying to understand, but they're not my moral compass. And so, giving grace that they're humans too, and they have human lives and human emotions, and that it's, they get as caught up in things as we do from time to time. And so just to give grace to that and still use my intuition and my discernment to look at the information that I've processed from that person to see if I still feel like it's true and if it changes anything that I had built my understanding on. But other than that, from a moral standpoint, I'm my own moral compass, and the only guidance that I really look at for integrity and right and wrong is within myself. And so I don't really push that out onto somebody else. And I think also one of the things that reflection has driven me to is graduating out of using somebody else's material. Not that I'm very, very grateful to have had it to get me as far as I was, but like it was really time for me to start to create my own material and my own affirmations and invocations and revocations and things like that. Like I should have been doing that a long time ago. I mean, not to judge myself, but I had been being nudged to start creating that, years ago. And so that reflection has prompted me to take action on that, and it's elevated me even further. So it was just kind of like another graduation step for me.
Wow. I have also been thinking a lot, and going deep into my ability or inability to trust my teachers. And when I speak about teachers, I'm not talking about people that I follow or that I'm interested in, but people who are directly working with me on a spiritual level, who know me personally. And what I was able to, so this year I worked a lot with the fire, with the angel of fire earlier in the year, and I'm still integrating all the revelations and clarity that I received from the fire. And right now my inability to trust comes from my own inability, my spirit's inability to reconcile with the fact that I have betrayed others in the past, in previous lifetimes, and in other spaces. And in my multi-dimensional self, there are aspects of me that are still betraying. So when I tapped into that trust right here, right now, it's related to that. And my work right now is to be able to navigate that and to bypass that, to what's the word, to transcend that with power. By connecting with that part of my spirit that stayed aligned to the Divine Mother.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. And to be able to like stand in that place of the neutral observer of self, right? And say, oh, wait a minute, I've had issues with this in past lifetime, but it's not going to affect the me now, right? I need to process it and have forgiveness and, come to that place that feels good without judgment. I think that's really can be really challenging. Yeah. And it's real, it's real and it's human and it's I like too, Jen, what you were saying about like our spiritual teachers. Yeah, they're human too. Yeah, what happens when we find out those people are human, right? Well, we know that, but I mean, hello, right?
Yeah.
We know this, but we are our own guides and teachers as well. And coming back to that like honesty and integrity and faith and trust with ourselves, I think is I don't know where it's at. I think for me right now, always being able to rely on the direct connection and expand from there, right? Ripple out like the pebble in the pond from that
Yes.
place. Yeah.
Yes. I went through a moment of a lot of uncertainty about 2 months ago because somebody I consider a teacher, in meditation and in connection, what I got was that person was infiltrated in very, very subtle high levels. So it's not an upfront infiltration, but it's very subtle, but it's there. And also I received that, and Archangel Michael is working through with her and helping her. She's not all alone, like poor her. No, she's working through it. So I took some time to step aside and to be with that information that I had received, and to be with that void that was left after realizing this and the absence of her and the questioning. Does that mean that, because a teacher helps you cross a river, then does that mean that crossing wasn't worth it? No, it's still worth it, and it's still very valuable. And I have to say, I'm still in many aspects in that void of missing her and the illusion that I was attached to.
Carol, that like that void in part is a little bit of that fear of stepping up into that next level of mastery for yourself, right? It's just that little bit of like change and growth are uncomfortable. And to me, like, I feel like part of that void is that discomfort of moving into some place that you don't know yet, but is more responsibility and it's bigger, and then learning how to like fit in that space, fill up that space with yourself.
Yes.
At least that's how it's felt for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, you guys said so much wonderful things that I concur with everything Jen, you said, Caro, you added to what Jen said, and Tanya. And, you know, I don't know what else just to add to that. Seems like it's everything that I have been thinking of late as well, and about our past spiritual teachers and their moral compass, and realizing that they're also living in a human form on this earth where there is a lot of polarization that is affecting us every moment to moment. And we have to be so aware and clear about our thoughts and what we're thinking, and to be sure to correct them as they come to us, so that we don't fall into the trap of being immoral in any way, shape, or form. And be as an example, you know. But yeah, I don't really know what else to add. You guys said everything that's on my mind as well about.
Did you have something to read that you wanted to read?
Oh yeah, let me. I wrote this quickly this morning. I can do that. It says, I, in the ever-present moment, here and now, I revoke, remove, delete, and undo consciously any expectation of falsehood and darkness from my life, which instigates any form of betrayal and befuddles me this day. My faith in good is what surrounds me, and it supersedes all inaction, overaction, reaction, forced action, or circumstances in my life, whereby my trust in Spirit's love is realized. My expectation is always for the highest good, being the universal light of my day. This infinite day flows through me and you and you and you, as likened to the algorithm of love, always there to guide my footsteps in the right direction towards this loving moment of now. So let it be so now that my faith, my trust, my expectation today is to love you, my friends, more. And so it be. Aho.
Oh, so be it. That's really
That
nice. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Your words are beautiful, Lana.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're writing.
Yeah. I was wondering that Lana, that you mentioned something that triggered my mind.
Uh-huh.
Are we really programmed to be just like be mistreated? You know, like because sometimes you trust people, and then especially in my own case, I went through to very spiritual high level human, and then I mean I was almost killing my process. Any case, but how is that happen that we put those people in the pedestals, you know, in the altar, and we trust so much that we're giving everything? But in my case, I was giving everything. I was putting, you know, my life just like, you know, in their hands, and doing everything possible to make it comfortable then, you know, to, you know, bringing people to those, to them, you know, it's like, even thinking about it, I can't even express my feeling, because I'm working a lot about to eliminate those, you know, the injuries in my energy system and my knowingness. And I was wondering when he was saying that, are we really programmed just to be like an auto destruction ourselves? I don't know. It's so weird, because sometimes, you know, I have people that I put it in the sky with so much knowledge and so much, you know, spiritual advance, and then in the end you find out that it was not whatever I was thinking. It was, and you know, it was very mistreated and very abused, in all the way, because the abuse can be like you throw somebody or you do everything for somebody, and then when they get, ahead with something, they put you on the side. It's like, ignore you or hurt you in the way that, in different way and form, trading you with other people. It's like, I don't know. It was like for myself, why we are programmed to hurt one another like that? It's like the system get feeding with that. I'm sorry about that, but this is so crazy for me in my mind right now, thinking about it.
Carol mentioned one word when she was talking. It was compromise. And I feel sometimes that those that we look up to, they can be compromised. And when they get compromised, their activities and our expectations of them are something other than what we are expecting. And that expectation is in us, and that is kind of a proof to us that all of us can be compromised, not just our spiritual teachers or those we look up to as a spiritual teacher. So what do we do when we find or we feel that our spiritual leaders are compromised?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. I mean, getting back to that own, our own alignment, right? And our own truth is, that trust in ourselves, and right, being able to hear and listen to our intuition around that. But, as one of the guys that I've done light wave training with was talking about in one of the last sessions he had, that the way things are going on Earth right now, and the higher frequency battling that's still going on for Earth, one of the things he said I thought was really interesting was that there were going to be a lot of people who you wouldn't expect, who all of a sudden are shifted, are compromised. And it's interesting to see, like, to be able to just kind of take a step back and assess right through, like, the words and the flow of energy, like, what is going on? Like, how do we tap in to that depth of faith? I was having a conversation with one of my clients the other day, and she's in a relationship that is not going to last, because he's moving out of the city at the end of the summer. And she was saying, well, I just have faith. He's an atheist, but I have faith. And she was trying to explain faith to him, someone who came from a very, like, religious background, was only seeing the word faith from a dogmatic perspective, as opposed to a greater arching, spiritual connected perspective. And so, there's this sort of gap, right, that has from people who have come from, like, a religious upbringing, where when you're looking at the word faith in that context, it has a different meaning in a way to what we're having, that direct connection of faith. Right. Those are some of the things that I've been thinking about the last few days.
I feel that has to do with the program that we having, that we waiting for somebody else to saving us or to show us the way. And then, for example, myself, I always thinking that somebody else know better. And then in the end, I had to realize, oh my God. And like, we have learned a lot from Andrew that nobody going to come in to save us. That we are the one that to save ourselves. That we are the one that we were waiting for. And looking from that perspective for myself, so my goodness, it's not that I can see somebody doing something good and admire and then gratitude for that person, but it doesn't mean that I have to show that he's or her know more than I know. It's just like a collaboration one another, not looking for who knows best. Those things that we have in program, looking that somebody had a better answer than I have. And especially because everyone is unique and everyone has different experience in life that have marked our path. And for myself, it was like a parent that I get involved with people helping, and then in the end, I get completed, and then I just get very hurt, very, physical, emotionally, and an economical way too. And it's like it was a pattern that was continue happening, and until I said, well, wait a minute, I don't going to get attached to anybody and nobody, just going to be neutral more I can, and not expecting anything from anybody, but in collaboration at the same time. And to keep that balance for me is a challenge too, because how you get detached from people and from situations and key in the collaboration mindset. That's having my encounter lately. It's like a love, but not love at the same time. It's a very weird proposition for my journey, because I don't feel that attachment anymore, because I was so serving other that was abused. And then now in this position, I don't feel attached to anybody, but at the same time, I love everybody. I don't know, it's like a very weird position. I don't know if that's something like happening, but I feel that way. It's like I don't need anybody, I don't love anybody, and I love everybody. I don't know if this can be understood.
I know exactly what you mean, Hermenia. I really do. I've been through that
video
cycle.
too much.
Yeah. I've been through that cycle a bunch of times.
Armenia, you sound like my mother. I love everybody. I don't care.
I love y'all, but give me my space.
Yeah, I love you. Has anybody kind of noticed too, like maybe it's just me, but I feel like as much as I'm trying to be, like I'm very good in my own space. I'm very comfortable in my own space. And so I can really easily turn into a hermit. And so I have been pushing myself to be more sociable. But when I do make plans, they get changed. And so it's like there's an isolating energy present right now also, to kind of be in our own energy and be in that reflective space as well. I've noticed that the last couple of weeks also. But to Herminia's point, and going back to what you were saying, Tanya, like I was raised very devout Catholic, and I went through a time where I was judgmental of the religion, and I really pushed it away, like it really turned me off. And then I had to go back, and I took some time in my late teens and 20s to kind of study all religions, to get more of an understanding of why we even feel like we need to have religion. And I feel like I got a really good understanding of that. And then I found my path back to God through Reiki or source or whatever you want to call it. But like my path to spirit really was more on doing the energy work and connecting to the earth and so many different ways than church. But I see why church makes sense to a lot of people. And I have no judgment of it. But all those things that you pick up, even the parts of religion and the parts that you pick up from spiritual teachers and things like that, I mean, you just have to go back in and check in and see where that fits in the puzzle of your belief system. And then every time you hit a block, go back and look at your belief system, right, and see what needs to move to be able to make forward progress. It's kind of, I don't know, it's where I see myself right now, is if I'm trying to get into like suspension of belief, looking at my beliefs like a puzzle for what piece needs to move out of the way.
Yeah, I think that goes back also to the groundedness that you have with your own direct connection.
Mm-hmm.
Allows you to trust in your process, right? That helps you shift things that need to shift, right? And coming to that space, I think about the mass, the communion mass in the Catholic Church, and one of the lines is, "I'm not worthy to receive you, only say the word and I shall be healed." Right, which is like, oh, I'm not worthy, but I'm going to give my power away to you, so then I can be healed, I can be worthy, right? And I was raised in the Methodist Church, which was more about community. It wasn't really about the dogma, but we did a lot of singing and did a lot of like community service, which kind of gave me a different perspective about religious or dogmatic gatherings. But yeah, I think it's interesting that tone of unworthiness, right, is built right in, right, to hook you back in, to give your power away, to give your power away, to give your power away. Like every time.
I remember the moment where we were doing the Nicene Creed, and I remember the moment when I'm like, this is like an indoctrination. Like I quit chanting. It's a chant, right? I remember the moment where I felt the energy of that, and then I didn't participate in it anymore. Church has a lot. There's a lot of energy in programs like that you do, because it's just what you're brought into as a child, and then takes a while to unprogram that.
Yeah.
Well,
Be
and
able
that
to
goes
see
back,
it and recognize it and unprogram it.
yeah, and that goes back to having trust and faith in your parents, right, to give you the best opportunity to learn what you need to learn for your path. I think that self-isolation that you were talking about is really interesting. I mean, I haven't left my house in 3 weeks because I haven't been able to walk. So, it's been a very interesting last couple of weeks for me, right? Having faith and trust in my partner, right, to help and support me and pick up the slack that I was carrying that I can't right now, or aren't physically able to. And and then letting go, right? Letting go and trusting what's going to get done is going to get done. What needs to get done will get done. Yeah. So Marissa says, sometimes I think we all go through certain phases to allow us to outgrow. And she recalls omitting parts of the creed that she didn't agree with also, but it made her question all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I think it's all of our responsibility, right? To question everything, to really get back to that place of wait a minute, what's in my energy field, right? And is it serving my greatest good, or is it doing something else?
Yes. Trusting that part of myself that is in alignment with the Divine Mother, and trusting that it as I trust in that part of myself, it will have the discernment to show me the programs and the conditions. I remember when I started my journey as a teenager, I in one time I told the mother out loud. I said, Madrecita, I am not fully conscious of you. I am not fully conscious of you, but I want to be, and I want to be. So trusting that part, that is the link between me and the Divine Mother that is going to do the work.
No, this is like a moment of awareness and surrounding at the same time, right? Yeah, it's like I don't know what to do, where I put my nest. Is that going to be? Could you show me? Something like that. Yeah, those moments are like very powerful moments because I have experienced sometimes myself, like when you are ready to to give up, and then in just one instant that you get that connection. It's like asking and connection at the same time. Is very powerful because it's like we are open to receive, right? Like we opening to receive.
Yeah.
That's it.
Opening to receive more of our soul self
Mhm.
and of our direct connection. And sometimes that's letting go of expectations of ourselves.
Mm. That's the big one because we are never satisfied, Tanya. We always thinking that we have to do more and more and more because I don't know why, but that's the feeling that I'm not doing enough.
Mm,
In my
Yeah.
in my case, it's like if I have like a 1 hour that I don't have anything to do, I feel like a kind this little guiltiness inside. What am I supposed to be doing something? It's like a feeling that I'm wasting the time. Like I in this this race to do something, but sometimes I don't know what I have to be doing. However, feeling that I'm not doing anything is like you are wasting your time. That's what sometimes my feedback. And I said, wow. And I had to go for a walk to not feeling myself that I'm doing nothing. This is so
I know that feeling, Harmony.
Yeah.
It's a form of guilt. It's like you're
Oh.
guilty that
Mhm.
you're here,
Mhm.
but you're failing. You're failing your household. You're failing those around you. You're failing yourself.
Mhm.
It feels
Yes,
like you constantly have to be doing something.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
to me, that's a program that's in our lineage itself, that's handed down from one generation to the next.
Mm.
And it's something that we have to recognize now, that all these things that are making us feel guilty are just programs that's been coming through the line of our lineage. And what do we do about it now? We have to stop it. We have to end it now.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, isn't the first thing like recognition of the pattern?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah.
can recognize it, then you can say, oh, hey, look, I see
Yeah.
what you're doing, Tanya.
Yeah.
I
Once
see
you
what's
see it,
going
you
on.
cannot unsee it.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Exactly. It's like those 3D paintings. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe we just need to be present and grounded, right? I think as what star seeds, light workers, way showers, whatever, we're all holding space for ourselves, but that's rippling outwards into our communities. I think the hardest thing to do, right, is just be present and be grounded, right? And realize that maybe that's enough to fill our path and purpose. I know I work like a grounding cord. So when I'm anchored to earth, right, when I'm anchored in my own direct connection through my Stargate heart, then I'm solid, right? And sometimes it's just a matter of grounding and connecting and breathing. I've been doing a lot of sitting on my butt lately, and really, just reflecting. Like I'm able to go out on my deck and spend time in my yard. And I have a couple doves who have made a nest on top of my ladder,
Oh.
like just right around the corner from my deck. And I saw them like flying out from there. I'm like, what are they doing back there? And I looked and there was a nest with 2 little eggs.
Oh,
So now they're, sitting on their eggs and warming things up. But if I hadn't been unable to really move around that much, I maybe wouldn't be sitting out there and just like breathing in the nature. And I mean, I always get out and walk and connect that way, but sitting still has given me a different appreciation for the stillness and that individual connection, right? Which goes back to that trust and faith in self and just grounding that energy.
Yes. As you were saying that, what I was connecting with was your heart chakra energy doing great service to Mother Earth in that sitting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
that's
been
Yeah, like-
interesting to let go of the expectations I have of myself, of everything I normally do, right?
yeah, that makes sense because sometimes we have to go through something just don't do anything because we are so programmed that we have to be doing, and things happen that we are obligated to just sit down. And and I was remember a couple of times I have been sick and I went to the hospital for 3 days. And they were doing all kind of tests on me. The doctor checked my blood pressure, everything. And then in the last minute, the cardiologist met with me. He said, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, your blood pressure is better than mine. Your glucose level is better. And he was saying, we don't find anything wrong with you. Maybe you just have a stress. And he said, you take a baby aspirin every day just for prevention, but we don't find anything on you. I was 3 days in the hospital. And I sometimes was feeling like my heart was like, you have like a running water inside your heart. And I couldn't breathe. Or if I couldn't lay down because it was like this sensation of like a running water in my heart. And they couldn't find out anything on me. I was 3 days in the hospital. And then when I was in the hospital, I said, this image came to me that like I was in like a table, the wood table, and then native Indian was playing the drums and dancing around. I said, oh, when I get home, I'm going to go to one of the websites that I had, like a CD, and at that time was a CD players, nothing about like now in the phone. And I said, I'm going to buy a CD. And I found one that called the Beat of the Hearts of Mother Earth, something like that was. And I put it, and I laid down in the couch in my house in the living room, and I was sleeping in the living room for 3 nights and playing that CD all night long. And after that, I was feeling recovering since the first night. It was like, okay, what was that about? I have maybe just to connect with that energy. I don't know. But I was in the hospital for 3 days. I couldn't find anything. And then I got to my house when I got a CD. I overnight, I paid like a $20 extra to get the next day. That's how important it was at that time. That was in 2005. And I expedited the delivery because I need a CD. It was like when you go to the doctor, I was wearing that CD like it was my doctor. After the first night, I was feeling better and better and better. But sometimes I had to get out about 4 o'clock in the morning and walk in this moonlight to feel a little better because suddenly I couldn't breathe. Until I went to the hospital and they couldn't find anything. And with the CD playing the music and the drum beat of the heart of Mother Earth, I guess I got connected, and that was my healing. But I was like almost a couple of months I couldn't do hardly anything. It was kind, doesn't, maybe I was doing too much and I had to just let it go. And when I was in the hospital, I left my daughter. She was like 10 years old, I think, in the apartment by herself. It was like you don't have control or anything because I was trying to save everybody and then I didn't want to save myself. Maybe that was the way how the universe was telling me, you gotta, step back and just relax because I was doing too much at that time. And when I saw myself in the hospital, that I just lay down with it without doing anything, then I realized, oh my God, you know, the working is still, you know, being the world without me, because I was that impulse doing and find to save every time. And that's one of my biggest experience, you know, in this process of, you know, healing. It's kind really how things have to happen for us to just lay back and just wait and do nothing.
Yeah. It's not easy. But,
No.
you know, when you
Excuse
listen to
me.
that, go ahead, Alfredo.
I didn't want to talk over anybody, but I couldn't find a gap to input here. But yeah, I've just been like, I feel like that's the only peaceful moments I have, you know, like when I just go out and just sit in the sun, because I've been, I was finally able to write down the cycle that I've been in these past few months, because I had some people asking me some questions, and then they're triggering me. It's like, man, you guys are just asking me too many damn questions. But then I realized, reflecting on myself, I was like, man, I don't ask anybody questions. I got too much pride to ask anybody questions, and I'm so caught up trusting. I'm just like, I got faith in myself. I got trust in myself. I trust myself so much that I don't need to be asking anybody for, you know, questions or answers, or I don't got to be looking up to any teachers. But it's kind of the point where it's just like, I'm secluding myself so much, you know, get to the point where it's like, I don't even take help from anybody, you know? And like, I've been trying to find other ways to, you know, get out of this cycle I'm in, this cycle. And it's like I'm, you know, being a dad, being busy. I got all these responsibilities and things I got to take care of with the house, the kids, whatever. And then like, I finally get out of that. And the most peaceful moments I have is I'm out in the sun, because I can't be connected to nobody. I got to just be out in the sun and just breathe. That's the most peaceful moments I have of clarity. But then it gets to the point, like Harmonia was saying, it's like, well, I've been out in the sun all freaking day, or not all freaking day, but like good amount of time. I need to go be doing something. I need to be doing something that'll progress me, that'll evolve me. So I'm learning something new, growing somewhere new in a new avenue, so I can get out of this wheel of choices that I've been living in, you know, these wheel of choices. It's not a bad wheel of choices, but it's these wheel of choices that sustain my life, that assist me in being healthy and being a pillar for my family. Because if I'm not healthy, if I'm not at good health, then I can't support nobody. I can't even support myself. But I've made this body too much of a priority. It's like, all I do is just nurture this body, exercise, spend all my time cooking food, spend all my time, you know, nourishing my body. It's like, I want to do something else other than taking care of this damn body all the time. Like it's good enough. Like, and I got so much pride, I don't want to ask no more questions. And then I'm trying to use plant medicine to help me out so I can see a different avenue, a different perspective or whatever. And like, try to find a different way to solve my own issues, you know? And like, trying to put in so much pressure on myself to figure it out by myself. Because it's like, it's okay, Alfredo, you're a self-illuminated master. You should be able to solve all these problems you have. You should be able to self-interrogate, do psychic surgery, do all these things by yourself. You should just be able to do it. I put myself on a pedestal. It's not even about the teachers, because I've been realizing I go to all these gatherings, these meetings, and then I see all these people with all these great skills, these great talents, these great teachers. And I look at them and I'm just like, I got all these judgments. I'm jealous. I'm frustrated because I'm not at that level. I don't have all these skills. I don't have the abilities they have. And then I disregard my own abilities. And then it's just like, I just need to get away from all this stuff, because when I see all this stuff, all it does is frustrates me. All these people are making these great creations. They're doing all these great things. And what am I doing? All I'm doing is take care of my family. And then the little moments I have of peace is when I'm running away and getting out of the sun to get some clarity, you know, get some damn clarity so I can think clearly and have some space to myself to just see clearly. But then I get to the clear space. It's like, well, I need to be growing out of this situation. And this wheel of choices continues, you know, it's this cycle. It's just,
We're all there
my
though.
heart's been racing. I just wanted to say that, but
Take a nice
Go ahead,
deep
Jen.
breath, Alfredo.
I wrote this down vigorously. I was like, man, I need to get out of these, like, oh, I meditate by the pyramid. I'm going to meditate with the whales. It's like, man, I need to get
The
to some
whale.
reality. I got to outcreate this wheel that I've created, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to escape with these meditations, I'm going to go to the galactics. I'm going here, I'm going there. It's like, man, I need to get out of this creation, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I had to let that out. Go ahead. Someone was going to say something. I'll just.
I'm in the same place. When you mentioned pride, I was like, yeah, pride's a big one. But then I put myself right between what you were saying and what Herminia was saying. Because I have those moments where I know nobody can tell me anything that I don't already know. I just have to be able to go within and find it, right? But then how do I get there? And then I have those moments where everybody else knows more than me. Everybody else is further ahead than me, and I'm just Mickey Mouse, right? Like that's kind of how I say it. Like I'm just Mickey Mouse, like I'm just a cartoon. And I have to keep playing that, like spinning that top to find that balance, because some days I am lost and I'm trying to find my way. And some days I really am focused and I have all the information and I know how to find it, but I don't have, like, I'm not balanced every single day. So I spin that wheel of choices all the time too, Alfredo. Ups and downs, moments of like pure clarity and consciousness. And then other moments where I just feel like I'm starting back at step one.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy being a human on Earth right now, you know, but it's something we all signed up for, right?
Yes.
You know, and we're all the best of the best, all of us incarnated on Earth.
We just have to believe it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yes.
I think, you know, just speaking to your life right now, I don't, you know, I hear what you're saying, Alfredo, but raising your family and taking care of your family, right?
Yes.
You're holding a lot of space for
Mhm.
what's happening in your immediate family there. You know, you're holding space for your children to become like grounders and holders of crystalline grid light.
Mhm.
You know, and so you might not think you're doing anything, but you are doing something very, very important, because you're supporting these future generations who are incarnating to help support Earth.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, like Marissa says, being a parent, it's a big job, and
Yes.
it's an important job, right? And you can
Acid.
horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? Your kids are going to
Yeah.
do what they're going to do, but the best that you can do is give them the space, right, to help them grow so they can fulfill their soul contract, their raison d'etre, right? What they agreed to do when they incarnated, even though they don't remember.
So I want to share something for Alfredo here. So Alfredo, your kids are young right now, right? But the first 20
Yeah.
years of their life, just spend those first 20 years with them. It's the most important time for you and them, because after that 20 years is passed, they're gone. They're not around anymore. So know that. Spend that time with them now, and you know, put everything that you want to do aside except your spiritual work that you do on a daily basis, your daily practice, and spend that time with your kids. Because as a parent, I know what I'm saying here. Spend it with them and let that 20-year work itself out, and then you'll have all the time back in the world for you.
Mhm. It's like a process time, right? Because that reminds me that we are just playing a role. Like let's say I was with my daughter too. I dedicate my whole life to my daughter.
Yeah.
And working hard to give her everything that she needs, because I don't want her to suffer all the lackness or suffering that I went through when I was growing up. I want to supply everything that she needs. And I dedicate my whole life, most of my time, almost 25 years, just for my daughter. And now when I recovered myself and doing different stuff, I studied this, studied those. And it's like, I was a guy that I went to a class within the healing the heart. And it's like he said, we play different role. It's like when we doesn't play don't need to be played anymore that role, then we're changing to different role. Now I be integrated in different community, different activities. My role as mother is still there, but it's not that obligation anymore. I have like that freedom to go out and do more things because I don't have to be
Yeah.
concerning my daughter.
When they finish high school, that's it, Alfredo.
Mm.
They're ready to look for a life of their own. And so you'll remember the good times you had with them in the first 20 years of their life. And so don't fight against it. Just go with the flow. Be the parent that you enlisted to be. Because you're blessed to be a parent. Not everyone's blessed to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
so caught up on I'm not progressing as fast as I'd like to. That's the biggest thing that's really pissing me off, because like I want to.
It's a guilt
I don't-
feeling that we're having because we have such a short expanse of this lifetime.
Mhm.
We feel like we only live for 80 years, right?
Yes.
80, 90 years. And we
Yes.
have to cram so much stuff in this space of 80, 90 years. And we feel guilty if we don't do what we feel we should be doing. And most of the times the guilt is coming from programs outside of ourselves
Mhm.
that we feel like we're falling short. But remember, we are eternal beings. Never
Yeah.
born, never dying. We always exist and will
Mhm.
always continue to exist. And we have all this infinite time to be and do and to progress.
Yeah. And you know, Tana, I mean, Lana, what you mentioned there is make me remind that myself, I get catch myself in that feeling, oh my God, I have not been done really much. And look how is my age already. And then I remind myself that I'm a master. I'm a master. I am, you know, my higher self is just experiencing a little tiny spend time in a little body here in this planet, but I know me. You know, I have to remember myself that I'm just playing a game now in this moment because I had a guilty feeling to that I'm not doing enough. I have not accomplished too much that like I want to accomplish. Well, I put in my brain, remember that you're just a little piece of you playing this game here now. That's the way how I've been able to navigate it lately with that. And this doesn't matter how other people doing and what they're doing. It just reminds myself that little click. I is a high self being that is just experiencing with a little part of my energy here. And then that is the way I have been able to navigate that feeling that Alfredo has. Because I experience, you know, we always experience, we are like the same wire. Yeah, that's the way I feel it.
Alfredo, I want to say thank you for expressing, and it's how interesting it is that it's easier to have compassion for another than it is to have for ourselves. And certain things that I would like to share with you, like, dude, like being a parent is like a big job, and like almost like we should be patting ourselves on the back, and we shouldn't be comparing ourselves with others. But then at the same time, I'm talking to myself at the same time because like, oh yeah, I have the same things about myself, you know. But sometimes it's like these echoes of ourselves help us to see that we're worthy, you know, already in what we're doing. And, you know, just like, thank you for speaking up and sharing, you know, because it is a lot of times the programs of comparing ourselves to others, right? And then that's where we feel sometimes not good enough, or this box isn't checked, or that box isn't checked. Yeah, also how you mentioned before, sometimes it's great to go to, let's say, teachers that we resonate with, yet then I hear you on going back to the medicine, almost like going back within. So having that lovely dance of the information we source from ourselves, and then the information that's sourced from out there, and it's all a beautiful dance, and not giving our power away, you know, but just always feeling what resonates. And just because I drive for work, so that's why I have to kind of squeeze it in really quick. I feel like, let's say, those trust and mistrust areas, let's say for me, myself, and in the spiritual realm, and how certain, let's say, rugs have been pulled out from underneath, right? In a sense, for people not being who they were representing themselves to be. Yet those things as well, I feel, have pointed me to look at myself as well. For one, it's like, okay, it was always going on in a sense, and almost like, how much am I actually paying attention? How much do I want to believe, or just go with the flow of what was, you know? How did it serve me, you know? And then there's also the aspect of, if I don't like that out there, how do I make sure I'm not that? So how do I show up in the highest and best way so that I am aligned to, like my words are aligned with my actions? And sometimes the mistrust that happens out there is just well, in my perspective, is so that we could come forth in an aligned way. So it could be our own teachers. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, actually. Jeez.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everybody giving me all this rich information, because I've been so caught up in my own little bubble. I just don't want to ask no one questions. I don't want to ask nothing. I don't want no one's help, but I need help. I need fucking help, you know? I got to get over this. I don't want to ask no one for help.
Alfredo,
Because if I ask a question like, oh, Fredo, you should have the answer. You should go within and just ask yourself. You have all the fucking answers. But I don't want to ask nobody. I need help. I need help, damn it. That's why.
Alfredo,
Go
I
ahead,
don't-
Lana. I'm sorry. I'm just
it's okay. Alfredo,
having a moment.
Yeah, great. I don't know if I have the answer, but I am very curious to hear one question you have.
One question I have.
Yeah.
before you ask the question, I just wanted to say that that's why we are here, Alfredo. You can come up with all your questions. That was what I was wanting to say.
A part of me, it gives these big questions like, oh, I can only ask Andrew. I can only ask an advanced psychic, because I want to get the best answer possible, you know? And in reality, like so many people around me, it doesn't even have to be a super psychic or Andrew. I'll just ask something or say something, and then like a coworker will just say something real profound. It's like, man, why am I so caught up in I gotta ask a super psychic? And you're just giving me the most obvious advice ever. Am I just open to receive it? That's the real thing, you know? Because like, oh, you guys don't know as much, you know, or y'all can't see as much. I have less awareness or whatever. But the question, I don't even know if it's a question, Carol, but I'm just like, I've been trying to figure this out because I just want to get out of this cycle that I'm in, this vicious cycle that I've been spinning and spinning and spinning endlessly.
Is it a cycle in this lifetime, or is it a cycle that
This lifetime, I'm not caught up with.
Oh, it's not a cycle
not
that's
caught up.
been following through from different lifetimes that accumulated to this one.
I feel like there's definitely some I've overcome just with the limited amount of awareness I have, but it's just this lifetime. That's all I'm just focused on. What's here in the now, you know, this lifetime. I don't even know how to describe it, Carol. I just want to get out of this vicious cycle I'm in, where I can kind of just get out of this wheel and just, you know, pave a new path where I feel comfortable and happy with. I'm investing my time, my energy, my focus, and everything that is me into, you know. And I haven't found that thing to land on that I want to be like, this is the thing that I feel good about and passionate about, and every little bit of free time I have, I'm going to invest into this. Because I was like, oh, we're going to be a cranial psychotherapist. I got to, you know, that was the recommendation that Andrew gave me, because I'm a powerful healer this lifetime. I'm getting all the help from the unseen realm. I just got to commit to it. But it's like, I don't want to commit to it because I'm just so caught up being a dad and being busy, and the little free time I have is just to get the clarity and peace, you know? And when I have the clarity and peace, then it's like, I got to be doing something. I got to find that thing to jump into that I'm going to invest all my life force into, so that I have something to grow towards and evolve towards, so that I can grow and evolve, you know? So I don't even know if it's a question, but
Yeah,
that's been the biggest thing that's been culminating within my reality, and like frustrating, like me banging my head up against the wall because I'm not landing on that point of satisfaction. I don't know. I just need something to be passionate, happy, and fulfilled about, you know? And that's the biggest thing that's just, yeah. Yeah, that's
Isn't
it.
that
Go
sometimes
ahead if
the,
somebody.
isn't that sometimes the elusive thread, right? That we all try to grab onto. And, you know, like what Marissa was saying about, you know, the teachers that we have, right? And being able to take, little bits of inspiration here and information here and there about things that inspire us, right? And help us grow, but then transform it in a way that it's, you know, resonant to our path and purpose. You know, and I just see, you know, I'm not a parent. I don't know what it means to be, I have a dog, right? I'm a doggy parent, but I don't know what it is to raise kids. But one of the things I do know is your kids chose you, right? To give them the best opportunity to learn what they need to learn. And so, you know, reflecting back on that, right? I would just make a suggestion that just sort of like when you're thinking about your kids and raising your kids and how much time and energy it takes, is that old programming, right? Are you having expectations about the way you're supposed to teach your children and raise your children, right? Because they chose you for your unique perspective, right? Which is also your journey, right? And so when they see you going through your journey, right, working on your self-care, working on your self-worth, working on your own direct connection, that has to be an inspiration to them. And it might not look that way, right? Because they're what, 6 and 7, 7 and 8, like around there. Yeah. You know, they're just in
Yeah,
their own
6
little,
and 8.
yeah, they're just in their own little child, innocent heart world. But because you're asking yourself all of these questions, right, this is also transforming your family unit, right? As you raise your vibrational frequency, you're holding that space for your family. So it might feel like you're stuck in a loop, and maybe the loop is the outside construct of what you think you have to do, right? Those expectations of you as on yourself as a parent, right? And you on yourself as a spiritual being of light in a human body. Yeah. So like, what does that mean, right? And how can you flip that, right? And use your struggles to, you know, to connect to that passion as a learning tool for your family. I don't know, that's just something that was coming up for me as you were talking.
That's deep. I'm gonna definitely listen to that later again. I'll listen to everything later again because I can see it from a new light. But yeah, they love me so much. They always look up to me. They're even like copying a lot of things I do, which I'm grateful for. You know, the habits, like massaging myself. They'll get the little roller gun and start doing it on themselves, or try to do it on me. But I don't know. They pick up all these habits and these things and all that stuff. It's just like, yeah, it's like, oh, daddy's here. I was so happy to see daddy. It was like, oh, daddy needs space. Daddy's, you know, stressed out. Daddy's trying to get clean and clear so I can at least be fully present with y'all in the moment. So I'm not half there and half caught up in some mental expectation or construct that I created.
Isn't it
Yeah, it's like,
beautiful that when you come home from work or when you come home from being out, they run up to meet you and say, "We're so happy to see you, Daddy."
yeah, it should be a beautiful, magical thing. It should be, I should be so happy and grateful. Like I got someone that actually wants to see me at the end of the day, and I take that for granted. And meanwhile, my coworkers are like, "Oh, I'm lonely, and it sucks being alone, but I could do whatever I want." And I was like, look at them in envy and jealousy. Oh, you guys can do whatever y'all want. And here I am tied down with my kids. But it's like, but then at the end of the day, I still got people that want it, or, you know, children that love me for who I am and they just want to see me and be around me and happy. And I just want my space so I get my clarity so I can be fully present. This damn cycle. But no, it's great, Lana. I mean, I take it for granted. You know, I'm probably taking it for granted, you know. I even got the damn cat and the dog happy to see me. Everybody's happy to see me. I just always
Yeah.
like,
That's a beautiful thing that they're all happy
Yeah.
to see you when you come home, you know? That's a
Yeah.
blessing in itself.
Yeah.
yeah, even everybody at work too. Everybody's just happy to fucking see me, but I'm just always like, yeah, just get away from me. I need my space. I love y'all, but I need my space because you guys' energy is getting too intense, or you're trying to get into my energy field and suck up that good energy. I get it, you know, I get it. I just
You got to start seeing it as that is your space. Your space is filled with all this loving people and beings around you. That is your actual space itself.
yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
The
definitely
space,
created the space.
outside of your body, not in your body. The space outside your body is filled with all this loving support around you, and
Mhm.
and beings that want to see you, and is so happy that you're there.
Yeah,
You got to trust. You got to trust that, and that's a good expectation to have, because there are people out there who don't have anybody to
yeah,
come home to. You know,
so many people.
there's so many people who don't have friends. They don't have neighbors. They don't have
Yeah,
anything to look forward to.
yeah,
They're isolated. They don't know how to get out of that isolation. And you got it in abundance, Alfredo.
Yeah.
just
That's very
damn.
good, Lana, because I remember myself one time that I encountered the realization that somebody mentioned that the really thing that make us as human happy are things that you don't have to pay for. And because we have it so conditional, like this society, how much money you make and how much you can show up is our values. And then we forgot about all the things that we have surrounding us that are free.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
even enjoying the beauty of the trees in front of our house. And I have to remember myself all that stuff all the time, because the program is how much are you making? How much are you doing? You know? And then it's really everything that's making us happy is free. Breathing
Exactly.
is free. A smile is free.
That's a good one. Yeah,
And then because we have unconditional, how much money you make and how much you doing is the valuable. It's completely the opposite. It's the trick part is to remind ourselves that everything that making us happy is free. It's so crazy.
that's the most profound statement ever, Herminia. That's so true. Yeah, I was writing this down. I was like, I don't need all these excessive material possessions that instantly gratify me just for a moment, make me feel good for a moment. I don't need this crap. Like, I feel good out in the sun and out in nature. That's good enough. I feel fulfilled, and it's so much more fulfilling than some instant gratification material item that just gives me some temporary satisfaction that never fulfills me. You know, never fulfills me. Just always.
Yeah, that's why so many people are famous and people just chasing them and they have a miserable life because they are not feel inside. They are trying to feel with the outside, and the outside never going to feel us. And I think that's the tricky part for us to understand. Even for myself, because I have to remember myself, you know, because the program is just show how much you doing, how much you can do, and how much money you have. You know, it's the program to keeping us chasing a happiness that we have already inside. That's the way how of being able to, you know, to overcome all those, you know, fear and, you know, accomplishments that I think that I have not done. It's the way how I'll be able to navigate it.
You know, I think too about the phrase being a healer, right? You're a healer, you should learn healing modalities. But, you know, Alfredo, what you're doing with the work that you're currently doing is its own special form of healing, right? The way that, you know, when you did the show on like being conscious and doing prayers on your knives and the way that you're cutting the meat and then it's going to someone to eat, right? That's you putting your healing energy into what you're doing that's nourishing everyone who's eating that, right? And so when you're talking about cooking, what are you doing? You're taking care of your kids and cooking, right? But you're also putting that healing energy into the food that you make, like we all do. There's many different ways to be a healer. It's not necessarily hands-on working with someone.
I didn't know
Yeah.
I didn't know Alfredo wanted to study craniosacral therapy. And the times that I connect in the Zoom here and I hear his voice, I always feel a release, like a comfort, like a really nice sensation here. So even with your voice, you're already giving me a treatment. So thank you, Alfredo, for the wonderful therapy.
That's nice to hear. Yeah, because I mean, maybe just running my mouth is healing in and of itself because I'm just speaking my truth.
Exactly, Alfredo. It's always nice to hear from you on the show.
Yeah, we have not learned to identify that just your voice can be a powerful healer that you don't even realize. Just saying a hello to somebody in the morning and smile. You never know how deep is the profound healing for that person. And because we don't see the monetary symbol, we're thinking that it doesn't have the value. But who knows how much working you are doing just beyond the scene, and that's the way I feel it, behind the veil, how much just to your presence and cross by to somebody or stop in the store and just people feeling you and seeing you, how much healing you're doing. It's really the way I feel in myself right now. Yeah, just your voice can be a powerful healing that you don't even know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I take these little things for granted for sure. It's a whole bunch of little things I do, but I take them all for granted and just totally, they're not as relevant as like you were saying, Herminia, like it's not all these great grand creations, or it's not this monetary value thing, it's not all this other stuff, but it's healing in all these different ways. I'm doing a ton of work and just small little ways here and there all around me, but it's not that grand thing that I put on a pedestal, Therefore,
it doesn't have the monetary symbol.
yeah.
Well, and isn't that, I don't know, I mean, for me, like what we're talking about, right? Those little day-to-day things that annoy us because they're taking us out of our power, or, they're not giving us time to reflect. But maybe when we can be, embodied, anchored, and grounded, and do those things with love and joy, right? It's almost like flipping the perspective, right? Instead of saying, oh, I got to do this thing again, it's so annoying, all of these people are in my space.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it like that, flipping the script and being able to say, oh, I get to be in these people's space. And what am I learning from that? Because the gratitude and the love that we're having, I think, for our own presence and own embodiment and the people that come into our energy field, right? Maybe we're meant to shift them in some way, or they're meant to shift us, right? Or maybe just as we walk alongside on the path through the jungle, they're helping us with our machete cut the path.
Yes.
So I mean, being able to see the value in those little things and be present and grounded and having that faith and trust in ourselves that we're present and going to do the best we can in every given moment, right? Almost like that living living, walking, breathing meditative state. You can hold that state of that alpha state of like that meditative space, right? Instead of being just in the headspace, spinning out. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to run here and do there. And oh, I've got too much, just come back, right, to the center. And, I think a couple weeks ago, we were talking about synchronicities and the way that they play in our life and how to recognize them. And so maybe even that day-to-day process, right, can be filled with those syncretic moments when we're grounded and anchored and have that place of joy and gratitude, no matter what comes at us. Yeah, and that's something I've been reflecting on also a lot as I've been sitting on my butt, and healing my fractured foot. It's like, why? How is this a gift? Right? Oh, this is very inconvenient. I have things to do. I want to be on my feet, but I'm being forced to, take that journey deeper inwards and look at really experiencing this quiet time in a space of love and gratitude. Right. And somehow trust that it's exactly what I need on my path and purpose for the recalibration and realignment that's happening on the planet right now.
Such a humbling space to be in, like just having like a broken ligament or whatever. Because remember, I got it was on Christmas years ago. I was being real reckless. I was trying to be super dad, trying to do everything, just driving 110 miles an hour. Yeah, I'm gonna do all this, I'm gonna do all that, I'm gonna get the kids, drop her off, whatever. And I pulled out of my apartment complex super fast without yielding for the first time in my life. It's like, oh, it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. It's okay. And I pulled out, I got T-boned by this Land Rover. I blacked out. It's been like, the Christmas in hospital. With a broken pelvis, but like it really put my life into perspective, because the longest time I just wanted to go super fast, and that's the first time I had to slow down because I couldn't even walk for like a month and a half, But it was such a humbling and it was an enriching experience, and probably resolved past life karma or whatever for sure. But it definitely put me in that position where I just totally had to see everything from a totally different perspective. Broke down my ego, because my ego just wanted to be Superman, but I couldn't be Superman when you got a broken pelvis. You can't even walk. So it's an enriching experience in a way. Yeah, it's something's broken, something's hurt. You can't walk around like you usually can, but it's just such a great gift, because you realize how much we take the simplicity of being able to walk around. It's such a glorious experience, just be able to walk wherever we want. It's such a simple activity, but some people can't even do that, Some people can't even walk around or go to the whatever, I'm dealing with that right now with my mom. Like, she's in the hospital because I don't know what's going on, but her health has been going real bad, but she's saying she can't even move around now. I'm like, man, but it's it's the simple things, we take for granted, but it's good to just be grateful for the ability to just do simple, mundane activities with this body,
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got to say, Tanya.
Thanks, Alfredo. I think, we all really appreciate your candid nature, right, in sharing what you share. Thank you. Thank you. I think it takes a lot of courage,
Yeah.
to just flat out, be you and say what's going on.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Yeah, doing that.
That's helping everybody, to reflect ourselves, because we're always going in the same thing, in different levels and different situation, but it's basically the same feeling, That's the way I feel it.
I like one of the things that Tanya said before, Alfredo, about when you feel like people are being in your space, just flip the switch and say, well, I'm being in your space. You're not being in my space. I'm being in your space.
Yeah.
So you're entering everybody else's space, right? In a sense. And you have to be humble then. You have to humble yourself in that moment when you realize that. Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
That'll give me those great ideas. I could see it from a different angle.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And one of the things that keep coming up for me of late is learn to love more. Learn to love more. Love it. You don't have to like everybody and everything, but you can love everybody and everything, because it's universal, really. Love is a universal thing. It's what the universe is. The foundation is of the universe is love. So it is us. We are love. We are loving beings. We just have to get that recognition of it in the forefront of our thoughts more regular basis, to be a more loving individual at all times. Like Harmony was saying, you can just smile with somebody and say good morning or good afternoon, or wave at somebody that you are familiar with, that you've never spoken to, just to give a hello and let them know that, hey, I recognize you, you're there.
I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
could do
that's
that, Lana.
Yeah,
I
that's a
usually try
part
to
of,
avoid them all.
yeah.
It's like, I don't want to confront none of y'all. Just get out of my field. Don't even look at me. But no, I could definitely do that, Lana.
That's where the humbling part comes in, because
Mm.
humbling yourself is being a loving creature on the planet, right? And that's what we should be doing, because if there's more love on this planet's frequency will shift so high, things will change so fast here. I mean, that's one of the things that I feel that we fail to do more. And I'm not excluding myself.
I've removed the H word from my vocabulary pretty much. And the other day I was talking to my sister and she was talking about balloons, and I said, oh, I hate balloons, and my husband said, that's a very strong word to use.
Yeah.
Balloons, because he hasn't heard it. He hasn't heard it from me for a long time. But it's true. Balloons can, float into the ocean and choke the turtles and the seals and all the poor, whales and dolphins. They've all had balloons stuck in there. How many different marine mammals? I live on the Pacific coast, right? So that's an important thing for me. No balloons, no balloons. And
there's a saying that so fill yourself with truth and love that there's no space left for error to enter. Such things as hate.
Mm-hmm.
So you're constantly filling your thoughts with truth and love. What is true? What is and the love that flows, and the humbleness that comes with the love. And so there is no room left for anything else to enter. And then you can be the best person you can ever wish to be. Yeah.
Reflecting that back also to ourselves and our journey, right? Giving ourselves space to love and accept ourselves completely, right? And Jen and Alfredo were talking about at the beginning here today about that space of like being somewhere in the middle of thinking you don't know anything, right? And then being in this space of like empowerment and knowingness, right? As opposed to thinking you don't know anything and then reflecting back that everybody knows more than me and I'm feeling bad about myself, right? That puts us back into that victim state. But if we can back up and say, oh, wait a minute, my value is different than their value.
Exactly.
Right. We all are equal in that way, right? We all have our part to play. We're all like, like a little cell on the great Adam Cadman, right? The universal being.
Are you
Yeah.
wearing a T-shirt
We're
that
our
says
own
love on there?
masterpieces.
Yes, yes, I
See,
am.
Tanya has to.
Yes.
Nice, there you
It
go.
actually says love is love.
Love is love.
Love is
There
love.
you go.
Love's love, baby.
Simple as that.
Learn to love more.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was feeling that I had to use pink today.
Yeah. In the galactic calendar, it's the cosmic seed day, which is thinking about the way that we're seeding, right, things in our life, the way that we're seeding information, right, for our highest good and the highest good of all. And how can that be elegant, right? How can we trust in ourselves to do that for ourselves, right? Being able to back up and see that big picture
Mm,
and trust that we have the tools that we need, right? But we can always get information from other sources. And sometimes that's spiritual teachers, and sometimes it's the dog down the street, or the birds
Love
that
that.
made a nest on my ladder.
Yeah.
What am I learning about nurturing, right? From seeing those little doves hunkered down on their nest. And I read about a little bit more about mourning doves and the way that they, like, how they build their nest, which is nothing. It's just like a mound of grass and some straw,
Yeah.
not very substantial at all.
Uh,
But the male then will sit on the nest during the day.
oh.
And then the female comes in at the end of the day. And then the male, goes out at night. Right.
Wow.
Sort of like roosts in a place where he can see the nest. Right. But then, he just kind of does his freedom thing. So I
Wow.
noticed they're switching right about now, like 10:30, 11. Yeah. I can hear.
Yeah. I love
Tanya,
their song. It's beautiful.
that's amazing, Tanya. You just give me the answer because there was a net here in the front of the house, and I was telling my daughter, "Are you sure he's still there? Are you sure he's alive?" Because you say you're the head, and I didn't know. I said, "But when she go out, because she always in the X." And then now I find out that it's because they switch positions, the male and the female. And then I was wondering when she get out of the net. I was asking my daughter, because are you sure he's there? Because you see all the head and no singers. And every time I go out, he's there. And I was wondering why she never go out. I was wondering, is be there all the time? She doesn't eat, she doesn't drink. And now you got the answer. It's because I switched position.
That's being good parenting, huh? Male and female parenting.
Right.
I watched the documentary All That Breathes. I don't know if you have seen this. So it's about two men who are taking care of the kites in, I think it was Mumbai, because there's so much pollution in Mumbai. The birds have been really compromised and like falling out of the sky, and not being able to breathe and breaking their wings, and so they created this hospital for these birds, and they're just caring for these birds. It's just really an interesting story. But there was one bird that fell, and the guy kind of picked it up, and he said, "Oh, look, there's like an indentation on his stomach, like his lower belly, where he was sitting on eggs. So we need to get this guy fixed up as soon as possible so he can get back out to his nest."
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I saw one documentary where it was in India also, where this guy saved this parakeet, or I don't know how the parakeet, I can't remember the starting of the story, but anyway, he started to cook rice every day. He didn't give the fresh grain of rice. He would cook it so it would soften up, and he would feed the bird. And then the bird left after the bird was well. And then the bird came back with his buddies. And you should see how many friends he brought back with him. And it took over the balcony that the man used to feed him on. And more, he started to cook and feed all of them when they come every day. Because he felt that the one bird was so grateful. He brought all his friends back with all the love and everything. And they were just hanging out there. So they eventually, he got I think, permission to allow them to be there, you know. And so the birds just keep coming every day. And that was kind of nice to see that. That one man and one bird
Wow.
can make so much changes.
Yeah.
I saw a
Wow.
picture. I see this, I see as we're talking about this, I see this energy of returning, right? Whether it be to a source of information or returning to our own source of information. But I saw a picture that someone posted on, I guess it maybe Facebook, maybe Insta, I don't know, where it was inside a convenience store and there was a deer that was right at the counter. And then there were 3 or 4 deer standing at the door. And so the comment was, yeah, this deer came to the store and I gave her a cookie. And then a couple hours later, she brought back all her friends.
Yeah.
So, that speaks to us too, right? When we're
But
finding.
that's trust, Tanya. That's trust that it trusted the person who gave the cookie to it, and it brought back, its friends with it.
Right.
Yeah,
They
that's a good point.
trusted. That's trust, because you know how skittish they can be. As soon
Yep,
as they see somebody or something, they'll disappear.
predators. Yeah, they have to trust to come back. That's true.
Mhm.
Well, in that case, right, they were trusting in the food that they were
And the
getting.
expectation that they'll get more cookies when they come
Mhm.
back.
Mhm,
So there we
mhm.
go with trust, expectation, and their fate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's also that story that goes around of the cat, right, who hangs out at the fish market, and was seeing people pay with money and receive a fish. And so now every day the cat brings a leaf to one of the fishermen and he gives her a fish. Right. It's like that's her currency.
Yeah.
She trusts that she's going to get a fish when
Yeah.
she pays with a
With the
gift.
leaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
That
And
shows
that.
that
I think
shows
that's
how
the
much
same too, same too about getting information, right? Or
Mhm.
teachings or inspiration, right? When we feel inspired by, a certain set of information, by a teacher, and we trust, right, that information is good and resonant for ourselves. Like sometimes we want to share that. We want to bring our friends, right? Experience what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only so we can align and get on the same page, right? But it creates dialogue, it creates community.
But we can also get to the point where when we trust that information so much, we can recognize that the information has been compromised, right? We
Yeah.
grow to that point where we're not just innocent anymore about the information coming to us. We can know, is this for real? Is this true? No, something is not right about what I'm hearing,
Doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel the same. Maybe
This thing
different
has been coming to me.
information coming from different sources also, right? That are incongruous.
Mm-hmm.
How is that matching up, right? And then you have to use your own, like, trust within yourself, right? Let go of those expectations that It's information you need, first of all. And come back to that judgment within you.
Well, here, what if the information, just as hypothetical, what if the information that we were getting from the teacher all along was always compromised, but we never knew it because we were so innocent to the information. But now that we have grown much more in our abilities and understanding, we can now pick up on the fact that maybe this information is not really true. It doesn't resonate with you anymore, because you are getting to that point where you can understand the balance between right and wrong, truth and belief, right? Is it just belief or is it true? So you stand in that point where you say in the sacred neutral perspective now, and you understand that, okay, what am I getting from the information here? Has this teacher been teaching me something that has always been true? Or is it like, the churches, and they would say that the Bible has half truth in it and religion has half truth and half, compromised information. But you have to study that information enough to know, well, does it resonate as really universal truth? Or is it only bits and pieces are resonating with, that truth, universal truth?
And I think that's where we come into trusting ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
What information is resonating, what's not resonating, right? How is this helping me grow? Or how is this helping me stay stagnant, right? Or stay stuck? So I
Great
think
question.
some of it is maybe like a do what I say, do as I say, not as I do.
All right.
Kind of thing, where maybe the information is really good and potent and powerful, but then there's not follow through and integrity on the other side.
Exactly.
But that's not about you, right? That's about the other person. So separating, being able to separate information,
the messenger.
yeah, from the messenger.
Beautiful point, Tanya.
Yeah.
Great.
All
Well,
good
it's really,
stuff.
yeah, it's really really nice to see all y'all today.
Thank you.
Think anything else that's rolling around in your thought processes?
I think we've covered a lot of different subject matter
I think so.
in this hour, 45 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 Right.
We just have to remember that we are playing the game.
Yeah, I think that's really, really true. Well, and just recognize that things are going on a much wider level than
Yeah.
sometimes we're consciously aware of.
Yeah.
As we become more and more conscious around what is going on in our energy fields, more awake and more aware, which, happens slowly by slowly, I think every day, returning to that direct connection, right? I think is always the most important thing.
And I think too, just remembering not to take everything so seriously and have fun, because we are here to have a good experience and to enjoy like what it means to be in a physical body. So for me, like when I start getting too serious about things, I have to put it down just to do something fun. So have fun, laugh.
Great reminder.
Yeah. That's all I've been wanting to do, Jen. Jesus.
All I want to do is have some fun.
You know it. Goodness.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
But Tanya put up the disco music so we dance and have fun.
It's
Indeed.
like remember.
We were born to be alive.
That's right. Born to be alive.
Born.
Earthy, you've been very quiet today. Do you have anything that you want to add?
She wants to add a smile. I saw that big smile there.
Right. I was just painting while I was listening, but I did feel led to share. I only know one Bible verse out of the whole Bible, and it's been the one I have, the verse I've actually gone to a few times when I've needed extra faith, and that is Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of the unseen.
Mhm.
It's the only one I know, but it's a powerful one for me, obviously, because I've always just remembered that one verse. But today was I really enjoy sitting in. I appreciate Marissa so much for leading me and directing me here. And I appreciate each one of your shares. And yes, I am kind of a quiet person. I'm an introvert, but there we go on that. Blessings.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Holding a space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
absolutely. Well, thank you,
It's always
everyone.
nice to have new members.
Yay. Yeah,
you.
and see you all, I think next week, where we're going
Yeah.
to talk about remembering more about remembering and the Mandela effect.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks,
for
everyone.
being
Have a
Bye.
great week, all.
Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.
everyone.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you, everyone,
everybody.
so for your presence and energy.
Bye. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bless
Bye.
you all.